Thousands of Aleppo residents reunite with their families after spending years in militant-controlled areas of the Syrian city.
We must stop this madness. We must stop arming terrorists.
That was part of the reaction in the US House of Representatives after President Obama eased the way to arm Syrian anti-government forces. Coming up to this hour, OPEC and Russia say they're confident they'll pin down a deal in Vienna today on an oil output reduction deal that will include other non-cartel members. Hi, welcome to Art International this weekend with me, Kevin O, in this hour. It's just turned 2 p.m. here now in Moscow. Our top story, tens of thousands of people have been crossing into safe areas in the Syrian city of Aleppo. They took advantage of a temporary halt in fighting declared by the Syrian army to ensure that civilians are leaving that huge conflict area. Many of them say that the militants had kept them in constant fear along the way with threats of torture and mass killings. Let's get a live handle on what's happening there. These are blurry, but they're live. Drone pictures, as you can see, from Aleppo. What's happening there right now? They're coming in from the Russian Defense Ministry or across their feed. You can see, we've seen throughout the day, for the last couple of days, to a steady flow of civilians leaving districts previously held by the rebels. The evacuation's being supported by the Russian Reconciliation Center. They reported that more than 50,000 people have been moved to safety in the last 2 days alone. People are leaving the danger areas using established humanitarian corridors and can receive aid then at special camps, if they want it, set up on the outskirts of the city. I'd say this footage is a bit blurry, but it gives you a handle on... It's not often you see live pictures like this coming back from there. The Syrian army is planning to resume fighting in that rebel-held area only after all civilians are out of the conflict zone. So it is going to flare off again, but only when they're all out to safety and when everyone's confident that's happened. The rout of militant forces started last month when the army launched an offensive to retake Aleppo. At the moment, as it stands, more than 90% of that city now is under government control. You can see it in the red. In the centre of the map, the small areas where the militants are continuing their resistance. The liberated areas are littered with booby traps and unexploded mines, which the rebels have planted in their retreat. They're now being cleared by Russian bomb disposal squads. So, as government controls partially re-established in eastern Aleppo, families who've been separated for years now from their loved ones are being reunited again. Lizzie Phelan met some of them.
Rebel-held Aleppo has become synonymous with shortages of everything. Reliable reporting on the civilian population has also been in short supply, with few journalists able to venture into the territory to report firsthand for years. Now, the rebels are on the verge of total defeat in Syria's second city. Thousands of civilians continue to escape their grip. In the last couple of days from rebel stronghold Sheikh Said. With them, they're bringing stories that for the first time in years, they can safely tell.
The rebels would constantly come to our home and steal our belongings. They would fire mortars at us and try to make us leave our homes so they could come and steal our things and to frighten us, because all our neighbors left, but we stayed in our home. They would ask why we didn't leave. We told them we have many small children, that we can't leave. We have cows and sheep. We can't leave them alone. They need to be taken care of.
Only strong men have a good chance of escaping rebel areas. It's especially difficult for families. When you have kids, they don't allow you to leave.
Family after family tell us the same stories of being unable to leave if they have a boy of fighting age, which in rebel-held Aleppo, we're told, is just 14 years old.
Because I have a boy, they wouldn't let him live with me. That's why I stayed, because I have a boy. I stayed here for him. Thanks to God, today we were able to leave.
With the collapse of rebel control, comes the collapse of front lines that have divided the people of Aleppo.
These buses are filled with civilians who fled today from Sheikh Zayed as it's being retaken by pro-government forces. Since early morning, hundreds of people have been coming out from that neighborhood in South Aleppo. Many of them will be reuniting with their families that have been on the other side in government-held territory in Aleppo that they haven't seen for 3 or 4 years.
I feel like it's Eid. With the power of the Syrian army, we have victory. After 5 years, I'm with my family. I'm so happy.
Some have family they haven't met before, like little Reis and Zayt, born before their family became trapped in rebel territory.
I don't know them. This is the first time I've seen them, Reis and Zayt. I never knew them before. Before, he only had 3 kids. Now he has 5. 4 years ago, he couldn't escape, but I did. He was stuck there, and thanks to God, we are reunited now.
Others are still waiting for their reunion to be complete.
I'm waiting for my brother-in-law. They put my sister's husband in jail. They put her husband in jail because he was living on this side. He went to see his wife, and some people told them that he comes from this side. They caught him and put him in jail.
These men being held on the side of the road were amongst crowds of fleeing civilians. Some of those civilians told us they pointed them out to the army, accusing them of being rebel fighters. They face prosecution, unlike the militants who decide to surrender in exchange for amnesty and the chance to start a new life. But despite being surrounded, others are determined to fight to the death, as we could hear by the ongoing pockets of fighting inside Sheikh Zayed. Lizzie Phelan reporting from Aleppo for RT.